good one for us today. And don't forget to
No,
subscribe or
you
follow.
prepared a good one for us.
I always go off the top of my head because I do so many shows.
Well, no,
I always have something.
We had a conversation last month, and the word modern got thrown out there.
Oh, yeah.
And then you made a
A
post
whole
about
post
it
about it.
the other day. And I think this is a hot topic and a misunderstood topic sometimes in the dating space. And so, yeah, I want to talk about modern dating, modern women, and modern men. It's 2025. It's not 1954 or even 1996. It's 2025. And so we need to have a conversation because so many people have issues with the dating pool being modern and the opposite sex being modern, but no issues with, taking license to be modern themselves.
They don't have no problem with ChatGPT and all the other stuff that come with being modern. Cars that park themselves, all this stuff is modern. Nobody has issues with that. We want that stuff.
Absolutely. And so for some reason in dating and relationships, we feel like we should have the room. A lot of men have expressed, I see, feeling like they have the room to adjust in 2025 to what has happened in the dating pool. So whether they want to be a provider or not, or a protector or not, or if they want to plan dates or not, they may still expect women to be submissive, may still expect women to want to sleep with them and all these things, even though they're being quote unquote modern. And then on the flip side, there are women who expect men to be traditional and do all the traditional things that were a social construct in the 1950s, whereas in 2025, they've taken the creative license to adjust and become modern in any way, shape, form, or fashion that they see fit while trying to hold men to a traditional standard. And so I don't think adjusting for 2025 is a problem at all. I think the center of the problem is that we think it's okay for us as individuals to adjust, but we take issue and have all these problems with the way other people adjust based on the landscape of dating.
So it was my post, and I'm going to tell you why I phrased it, because a lot of my guy friends had a problem with me thinking that modern was an insult.
What was your post?
So my post was that I was called modern, and it was connected to a video.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. So, and the guy was talking about, modern women, not in a bad way. Right. And so when I growing up, it was traditional. That was just what was going on. My dad paid the bills. My mom worked because she wanted to blow money. And my dad was like, if you're going to blow money, then you better go get you a job if you're just going to blow some money. Right. So she got her little job and stuff or whatever. But that didn't stop him from paying the bills. He paid all the bills. So I grew up in a traditional house. My mom came home from work and she made dinner. She fixed his plate, all of that. And I have all of that, right? Because that's what I grew up. That's just the way it was supposed to go, right? So that's what I did. So when I was married, I was a housewife, right? And so clearly he paid all the bills because, I didn't work. And when I got ready to spend money when we first got married, I used to always go to him and be like, okay, well, I'm going shopping because, I'm going to this with the kids, or we got this coming up, or I need to get this, grocery and stuff. And that part, I wasn't asking him about nothing because I did all that. I didn't have to ask him about the rest of the stuff, because when I went to him, he said, just get what you need to get. You don't have to come and tell me all the time. Just do what you need to do, right? And so I got accustomed to that. But those were the traditional values. And so with that came, of course, he's the one working. And, I was physically paying the bills, but he was financially paying the bills, But he got to, if he said, okay, well, we going to have family weekend and we going to go do this, this, and that, that's what we did. I wasn't like, oh, no, well, I want to go do this. I was like, okay, this is what we going to do. This is the family. So that's the traditional thing, right? When I think of modern, and to some degree, I feel like I'm a hybrid. So I hear some of the women that are tagged as being modern, they don't know how to cook, they don't want to clean, they want to be out all the time, they, the Gucci bags and the fancy trips, but then you don't have no investments and you really broke, but you just fronting for Facebook. That's kind of actually what I think about modern. And that's absolutely not me. And so I feel like I'm a hybrid because I'm not looking for a man that is going to pay my bills because my bills are paid. Now, if he's a provider, what I need for him to provide for me is not just financial. And this is where I feel like men and women get mixed up, because you talk about the men wanting the 50-50 and all that other kind of stuff. But what I find, this is what I meet, this is what I attract, okay? What I meet is men who already have the money, right? And it could be because of my age group, because those in my age group, we all kind of grew up traditional. They have the money, they want to be the provider, but that's what they want to be. And it's, to me, it feels like a control thing. And that's not going to work. What I need in a relationship is for you to be my friend, my partner. I want to be able to have fun with you when we're doing nothing or when we're doing everything. I want us to have compatibility and commonality. We need to be lifestyle compatible. We need to be sexually compatible. I want somebody I can enjoy on a personal level, because to me, money can be made. Anybody can make money. You can go get a good job and make money. You know, you could start your own business and make money. You could win the lottery and make money. There's a whole lot of ways you could get money, you know.
X, your 2 minutes is up.
No, I don't get 2 minutes. That's the audience. This is called Let's Talk About It with Xavia Fox. Okay, so there we go. Anyway, so the reason that I took offense to the modern, because one, that's not what I consider myself. I'm definitely a hybrid. But
you equate your modernness with tangibles. But
what do you mean?
They had purses back in the day. It wasn't Gucci. You know what I'm saying? Because you say you went back to, the Gucci purses and this and that.
That's what I see the
then,
women talk about
purses,
it.
They took trips too.
Yeah, those weren't the values that I mean, my mom loved to shop. She was definitely a shopaholic.
Value. We have no
but I'm
choice
just saying,
but to be in a modern world, because everything, technology is changing.
Well, my
what
question
your
would be
focus
to you.
is, what your mindset is about, you know, and what the mindset of these modern, and it's the younger girls. Like, I don't relate to the 30-year. My daughter's 30. I got kids that age. That's not where I live. That's not where my mindset is. I'm a whole different place. And when I think about this modern thing, it's something that kind of came along, you know, a couple decades maybe or so ago or whatever.
I don't even know if it's decades.
Right. I don't even know if it's decades. And so it's not something that it's just that my needs, I don't feel like I should be labeled, period. Mm-hmm. It's just that my needs have changed based on where I might be in life at this point. And to not need a provider, which is where, you know, a lot of stuff I say is, you know, well, that don't interest me. I don't need nobody to walk up and say, oh, I can pay your bills, which the one that kept interrupting me when I talked, that was his whole thing. I'm stable. You know, I'm established. I'm a provider. Like, that's not, what else are you? What else are you?
Let me tell you why I say that. Because, well, you know, her and I, we talk. So we're friends outside of this. And
you need to talk in that mic.
She texts people. She's not into, like, talking. How can you cultivate a relationship? That's why I call you modern.
I text you and say,
no,
hey.
No, not just me.
No, I'm not talking about just you.
Oh, okay.
I text people and say, hey, I'm available next Monday between 5 and 7. Let's go grab some dinner. And then we can have all the conversation we want to, but I ain't got time with what I do to be walking around with a phone stuck to my ear. That's just not how my life goes.
I have a question, Xavia.
Go ahead.
Why is it important for the label to be hybrid as opposed to either traditional or modern? And why is there a gray area
because
for you?
For me, I think if you're going to use a label, because really I don't like labels at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just Xavia. That's, you get what you get when you get her. That's it. But if you're going to choose traditional or modern, I'm not either or. I have some traditional values, you know. I mean, I enjoy catering to my man. That's actually kind of a sexual thing for me. It's a turn on, you know. So I enjoy catering to my man. I love to cook. You know, I definitely am going to clean because I have OCD. But, you know, I could not be a housewife again, but I could absolutely handle, you know, that responsibility because I am self-employed and work from home. So I have the traditional values, but I do have some of the modern thoughts as well, because I don't feel that I need somebody to lead me somewhere, because I feel like I'm already headed in a direction. Now, leaders lead. So if he show up and he just the leader and he's like, hey, you know what, I need him to lead us in our direction if that's what it's going to be. But I'm not, you know, I'm not changing my whole life now that it becomes just about what you want done. We're not doing that.
Right.
Okay.
I actually understand where she comes from when she says hybrid, because I just think she feels as if neither of the single labels accurately assess what she is as a person. I've seen her. I've seen her be, you know, Susie Homemaker. So I, you know, so I.
He's seen me in a relationship
Right,
before.
I've seen her in a relationship, so I understand like how that looks and what she's talking about. Like she is the person, you know, had a football game on, not watching the football game, but she's bringing, you know, her man and she's giving food to everybody and she's cooking the food and she's doing all of that, you know. So I've seen her.
And I enjoy that.
Yeah, and so I understand what but I've always just kind of took it as if, you know, she's saying like she's in a position right now where she doesn't need a person who's going to come financially save her. And
right.
so she could be Susie Homemaker.
Right. I think there's so much confusion around the modern thing because of language and different people's different interpretation of language. And so that's why I asked you about it, because when you first start saying, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, that's just semantics. But then I start thinking, how much does semantics play a role in all of this confusion, right? And so there is no right or wrong in what I'm about to say. But your perception is, hey, I'm traditional in some ways, I'm modern in some ways. That makes me a hybrid. For whatever reasons, my perception is either you're 100% traditional, like how it was, or if you have changed things, then you're modern. And that doesn't mean you don't have any traditional things going on, but if you've changed, if you've moved with the times, then you've moved with the times. You kept what works for you and what fits for you, and what doesn't, you adapted and adjusted. And so that's what I was saying on your post, is that if I use the word modern, it's not to insult anybody, it's not to knock them. It just means to me that you're not still going based on the 100% on the values from yesteryear. And it's not my expectation that somebody would. The conversation only comes up when people are being selective about the ways that they want other people to remain traditional.
So the reason that I said hybrid is because, you know, we have these cars that still take gas, but you can also plug them in.
Right.
And so they have evolved from just taking gas, but we don't call them electric cars. We call them hybrids. And so that's where I got the term hybrid from, because I have some of the old traditional, I can run on gas, but I got a little bit of the new modern, you can also plug me in.
Okay.
I'm a hybrid.
Okay.
You know,
I like that metaphor.
I personally think at this point, we're all modern. And I think that's basically what the young man was saying in the video, is that, you know, we're all modern. Nobody present is their grandfather, their grandmother, their, you know, mother or father, even, for the most part. I mean, none of us do it. We don't walk through the world the same way that they walk through the world. Like, whenever I hear somebody say, well, my father did this or my whatever, I'm not your father and you're not your mother. You can't ask for the same thing. You can't ask for what your mama got or what your grandmama got, and you're not them. And that becomes the biggest issue in this whole thing. And what he was saying or alluding to is that everybody likes the part of tradition that serves them. Nobody wants the part of tradition that requires you to be of service. And so when we go into these relationships, you know, it becomes that. It's like, oh, you know, I don't think I should cook for you. I don't think I should. I mean, like nowadays, you know, girls are telling you should bring them the plate. You should, you know, you should cook it. You should bring it to them. You should clean the house. You know, then you should pay all their bills and you should plan all the dates.
What do they do?
And what do? They
twerk.
It becomes that they
Birdiful. They look birdiful.
It's what I call Disney princess syndrome, where they just feel like all they have to do is walk up to the window and they have to twirl their hair and somebody is going to go kill dragons and slay witches for them. And so that's the issue. And there are men who think that because they have a penis, that they are entitled to a leadership position when they
Yes.
have not even shown the ability to lead. And that just because, men, we operate under the, survival of the fittest, the strongest, whatever is that's not the world we live in now. We're not walking through a forest or anything like that. We live in a world where you make decisions, and your decisions affect everybody. And so it's this entitlement to gender. Men have it, women have it, that has us at odds because nobody thinks that they should have to do work or be of service. The only way relationships are healthy and fruitful is both people be of service to each other. But what we have is over self-absorbed bunch of people. People are selfish and self-absorbed, and it a lot of times, I wonder if people actually, even when they're with somebody, do they actually even care about them beyond
What they can do
what
for 'em.
affects them?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, I've been in relationships, and you look at you looking at the person, and you're like, yeah, you say you love me, but do you actually really care about me? Because
Right.
a lot of times, you could be in situations, you could be going through times, and the person will basically relay to you that what they're really concerned about is how your problem is going to only affect them. They're not concerned about the stress that it's having on you, where you are emotionally, where you are mentally. So I think that's where you've been saying it, is that what it boils down to is that people don't like to be of service, but they are they open to being served, and that's what it comes to.
Karen, what's your thoughts? Speaking to the mic.
Piggyback on what he said, I really don't have any thoughts.
What's your experience
you
with
saying?
modern dating and modern men in 2025?
I feel that since I'm single now, and it's hard. It's hard out here to date because a lot of men text. I can only go by men. I don't know what women do, but they text a lot. And even on the dating site, they're like, hey, let's go out. They're not even trying to talk to me on the phone, trying to see if I'm real or a woman or whatever. They just want to go straight to going out.
Well, that's how they see if you're a woman.
They do.
No, we can do FaceTime.
Oh, okay.
And see, I have the opposite because I am a texter.
So I don't like that. I want to hear your voice. I want to cultivate some type of friendship, something. I want to hear your voice. Your voice, what's it? Reflection, voice.
Tone.
No, I want to
Inflection.
hear
The inflection in your voice.
inflection. Right, I said it right. But yeah, I want that. I want all of that. I want to be able to see if we can, have something in common.
You should
and stuff.
pretend like you're good with texting, because this happened to me all the time.
No, let me finish.
Pretend like you good with texting, and the next thing they're gonna say is, "Can we talk on the phone or
No, they
FaceTime?"
don't.
That happens to
Man,
me all
they
the
didn't
time.
let it go for a whole week, and I'm like, I'm not doing that no more. No, you
Oh,
can
you
pick
can't
up
even
the
go
phone.
for a week.
No, I'm not doing that. And then all they doing, how you doing? How's your day? How's your Wednesday? How's your No, that's not.
Any male texters in the room?
Y'all
Busy people are
I
usually
don't
texters.
mind texting, but
Would
it's
you-
not going to be my primary way of getting to know somebody. That's like stupid to me. I'm not.
You know
doing
what?
that.
I want to hear the other side of it. I want to understand the texters, the male texters. Xavier, we know you because you're busy and you CEOing.
I'm busy too.
I
I
got,
don't care.
I got a question about the male. All right, when y'all say y'all are male texters, are y'all saying that's what you use to get to know women? Because that's what she's saying, right? That's what she's saying. She's saying she doesn't like men who try to get to know you.
Text all the
during
time, have not called you
right,
at all.
because
Just-
I would.
You
I need
ain't
to
no
talk-
texter.
So then I need a new vote. Are you guys the type of texter she's talking about? No.
he not.
You
I
ain't
know
no
he not.
texter. I
Okay.
text you and you call me. I'm like, you return
Don't
the
get up in
communication
front.
in kind.
Just to stand up.
Xavier
Don't
wants you
get
to
up
be.
here in front.
Xavier need to
Shut
meet
up.
the guys you meet.
Yes.
Right.
And-
I sent him to you. I sent him to you.
Y'all need. That's what y'all
I don't
need
like
to do.
FaceTiming. I hate FaceTiming. If you're gonna be in my face, I want you literally in my face. I ain't gotta be looking at you in the morning on the phone. I ain't gotta do that. But I do talk on the phone. I don't like talking on the phone, but either I'm gonna text you and say we're doing this and we're doing that. Are you available? You say yes or no, and then we get together. If I really like you, we're gonna get a meeting right away. But as far as just texting a woman, good morning and everything, if I'm not into you, I'm not into you. But if I'm really into you, I want to get on that first date, get these 3 dates out the way so we can get to the bedroom because it got to take 3
Oh
dates.
my God.
Good Lord. Okay, you can
No,
have a
but
seat,
I-
audience. We have not yet
We'll
opened
get
up
it-
for
we'll go
audience
3 days out
questions.
the way, put our hands
So,
on each other, yeah.
yes. So I like to text. So if we could get, I want to weed people out, right? So if you just texted me what you doing back and forth, if you text me the same thing, 3 times in a row, then I'm probably not gonna respond to you no more. But
yeah.
if we can text and get a good flow going, that makes me want to talk to you. I need some reason
That's
to
too
want
much.
to
They be
talk
like,
to
how's
you.
your childhood? How was your childhood? I'm
No,
like,
you-
look, I
In a
don't
text
all that
message,
stuff.
Man, listen, I've had some great text messages, and I was the one that said, okay, we should probably just get on the phone because I can't keep up because we going back and forth so much. If you are a good communicator and you have a life, you will have something to talk about, and it can flow that way. But those people, those men that the first time if they like you and then you hit like back or whatever, and then the next thing they do is send you their phone number, I never respond to them people.
You know what? This is out of all of the things about Xavia, this is the one thing that surprises me the most about you.
What?
Because you talk so much. Xavia talks. That's
Hey.
the
Let's
show
talk
me
about
on.
it,
She
right.
finally
Into-
talks.
Which is why I don't
Right.
do the phone because I
Yeah.
talk all the time.
It's the funniest because I think personally, talking on the phone can save you time. Because when I talk on the phone, a lot of times, you get to a certain place where you get like a rhythm. You understand like maybe what type of person this is. By whatever they value, what they don't value. I don't need to go out on a date with you if I know your values and mine don't align. So it
That's-
saves
thank you.
me
Yes.
a lot of time
Yes.
because like there's times I might meet somebody in the club or out or whatever and they looking nice and you flirting and everybody's got alcohol and everybody is charming when they have alcohol and then I get on the phone with them and I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that her values or how even her voice irritates me. So
And I
Oh,
don't
dang.
want to go on a date.
I like- yeah. I like-
I just think there is a lot of value in my opinion to a 30-minute conversation, an hour conversation.
But when do you do that? So my thing is when I'm talking on the phone, I have to focus on talking on the phone. You can't really do anything else and actively participate in the conversation.
What do you do when you're on the road from Milwaukee to Chicago?
I talk on the phone.
See, that's all
That's
I'm saying.
when I talk on the
I
phone.
like
What
talk-
did you do
I like
before the text?
conversation.
What did you do
I'm
before
with what
the
Okira.
text?
Talk on the phone.
I'm with what Okira was saying. That if I don't have 2 to 3 stimulating conversations with you, I have no idea whether or not I'm going to enjoy a date with
Exactly.
you. So, and that's what the woman brings to the table today, right? I got to pay for it. So what you can do is be, charming and give me some good stimulating conversation. And so if I find out through a few phone calls that I'm not going to have that, then I don't think I'm going to enjoy sitting at this dinner table. Well, I think I would enjoy sitting at this dinner table more with somebody else than I would
and that's
with you.
Then if you texting me at night all the time, I'm going to think you're with somebody. You got a woman, somebody.
Y'all just dating. He can have
No,
a
I don't-
woman.
I
He ain't
don't
committed
care.
to
You
you.
should be able to call. He don't have to have commitment. He should make me feel that he don't have a woman. You keep texting all the time.
If you meet a single man,
You only
there's
date one at
probably
a
other
time?
women somewhere.
You only date one at a time?
no.
Okay.
But you don't. If
I just
I'm
wanna
a
know
single, if I'm,
These things.
and I don't know if this is what Karen is saying, but I'm just, this is what it sounds like. If I'm a single man, I meet a young lady. While she doesn't necessarily, have to only date me, but if you can't talk at night, no times, then it sounds. I mean, it
Thank
looks
you.
like you have a man, and I don't want to.
That's what I said.
Be a single man talking to a woman
Right.
who's in a relationship
Yep.
already. I
They
mean,
could
it's
be
one
married,
thing
they could
to have people you open your dating or whatever you go out dates with or whatever. But even if that is the situation, you're free some nights.
So let me just, on my behalf, because I feel like y'all trying to say something, but the
Oh,
times
Lord.
when I do talk on the phone is when I'm on the road and late at night. That's when I do have time to talk on the phone. But I want to have something already established with your personality via text before I spend my time staying awake, because anybody who know me know I like to go to sleep. So I need some reason to stay awake and talk to you. And how do I know that? Listen, I know you've heard this story before. I know both of y'all, all of y'all have heard this story before. So I was catfished really bad one time. I talked on the phone with this dude for 2 months. He drove up here from, West Virginia, whatever that place is. He drove to Milwaukee from West Virginia. We had sent pictures and all of it, because that was some
Y'all
years
did
ago.
FaceTime?
It wasn't no FaceTime back then.
Oh.
That was a little while ago.
Oh.
Okay. And so he gets up here, and these pictures that I saw of this, tall, 6'2", curly hair, just fine, right? The pictures that I saw when I went over to the hotel that he was staying at, because he called me, he said, because I think we only had pagers then. This is how long ago that was, right? This is MySpace days,
Low
I think,
sale.
right? And so when he called me and said, your man is here, right? And so I go over to the hotel, and I'm all, I got on my leather mini skirt, my little leather jacket.
Should have not went when he said
my
that.
leather boots, knee-high boots and stuff. I'm just fine, right? I walk into the hotel, and I don't see nobody that look, because 6'2", I'm going to see him, right? I don't see nobody that look like that. And so I go all the way in. I'm like, maybe he down the hall. I walk over to the front desk or whatever. I'm looking around. I still don't see nobody. I turn around to go back to the door, because I'm like, maybe he's sitting in the car or something. And there's this little, like 5'7", kind of balding, round guy standing there with his arms open.
Did you pick him up?
What am I supposed to do with that? We talked on the phone. He had a great personality.
That's wild as hell.
No, I never heard this story.
This is a true story.
That
This
is
is a
so
true
wild.
story.
Wow.
So that's why, everybody put all this stock into the telephone. I already
Well,
know.
now we can FaceTime.
You ever been catfished, Okara?
No,
I have.
I've never. No,
I've been catfish only because back then, when they used to have the phone dating thing, everybody sounded so good on the phone just before you could see them. Yeah, I was on that.
This lady.
Everybody was told.
This lady was sending me. She was some model some years ago, and phenomenal. But things changed. And I'm not even saying she still had a pretty face or whatever, but it was a 100-pound difference.
Oh.
Right? But like you say, text, phone, everything great. But she did used to be talking about being a stickler about weight a lot. Right? And I can't. And da-da-da-da. And so I got to the restaurant, and 15 minutes went by, so I called her and check on her. She like, yeah, I'm just outside. I'll be right in. Another 15 minutes go by. Are you okay? She like, yeah, I'm just getting myself together, building up my courage.
Oh, dang.
Wow.
She comes into the restaurant, her eyes are like bugged out, looking around like she's scared something is about to happen to her. And so she came and sat at the table, and she was acting so awkward, and so like the conversation on the phone was flowing, and she was just acting so awkward and anxious. And I was like, man, this is kind of like, nothing like that was what was on the phone or whatever. And she was like, yeah, probably about the 12th or the 13th date I'll warm up, and it'll be like how it was on the phone.
12th or the 13th day. This dude told me, because of course I wasn't. So some people like to pretend like attraction is not a thing. Attraction is a thing. If I'm not attracted to you, how do I have sex with you? And sex is part of a relationship. If I look at you and the thought of you touching me grosses me out, we not gonna have a sex life. And how we gonna have a relationship? You then have to just be a friend, if that. So the catfish dude told me, he said, we've had all these great conversations. We have a lot in common. And I'm like, but you are not that person in the picture. He said, well, why does it have to be about looks? And you can't tell nobody that. I can't imagine. The thought of you touching me makes me want to throw up. You can't tell people that. So I just, but the truth is you're a liar. That's the truth.
Yeah.
So all of the conversations that we had, though those conversations, maybe you misrepresented yourself. It's like,
I went to the bathroom and looked in the mirror and talk myself out of sneaking out of the restaurant.
But, you know
why I didn't leave? Because unfortunately, being dating and relationship connoisseurs, right? There's a little name and brand, and I'm like, she gonna say I left. They're gonna turn me into the bad guy public, because women will. Men.
Since you became Hitch.
I don't do that. But even before I was using the moniker Hitch, I was already in the space or whatever the case may be. But that's another thing I noticed in the modern world, is that I rarely see men showing screenshots and telling the story of what happened and shaming women for what happened as much as I see women doing it to men. So I just, in my mind, I imagined that she was going to create some weird story. So I said, let me just buy this little salmon and act nice for another 30 minutes and get on out of here. And that's what I did.
But and it's kind of back to the subject, but that's kind of like a modern attitude where
A problem.
People think that you're not entitled. Like what she was saying, a lot of men think that women aren't entitled to attraction. Like, just because you are a provider or because you are this, that entitles you to a woman. She don't have to find, your chubby butt attractive or anything, but because you are able to provide that, and vice versa with women. A lot of times women think that, like, they go through the world just thinking they deserve something, and I'm not quite sure where that came from, but people just think that they are just born with this I deserve. Mm-hmm. It's the oddest thing to me a lot of times, is that I've seen women, if you're being critical of attraction, who are not in the upper scale of attraction, but they will think that, like, they should be the top option of people who have a lot of options, and it just doesn't make sense. And you see the same thing with men. Like I've seen men. They talk to girls, or they'll talk to a woman, approach a woman, be ignorant as hell, and upset because she ain't going.
Right.
Now she hoes, or she whatever.
Right.
Getting, aggressive, and you're like, but dog, how did you just talk to her? Right. So it's this modern attitude of just being entitled because you have this delusion about yourself is amazing. It is really amazing sometimes. I'm like, who raised y'all?
Well, social media raised them, right? Because everybody's saying you deserve better. You deserve.
Know your value, know your worth.
You deserve.
Well, wait.
Being worthy.
Come on, we're going to start
and
taking audience
there's a
questions.
nuance between being worthy and deserving. I think people are worthy of love and worthy of somebody being attracted to them, but whether they deserve it from every individual that they meet, obviously, is a whole different thing.
Are you getting our audience on the thing too? Okay, come on, audience. You got a question? Okay.
And knowing your value and your worth, what is that? It's like
value to who?
Right, exactly. And it's like, you had your escort and you have your Mercedes Benz. I mean, there's levels to it.
Dang,
an
escort.
You got to know what level you own, and that's the problem with a lot of people with the dating stuff. They don't know what level to date on. You know what I'm saying? Fortunately for me, I
Zeke.
You know what I'm saying?
Unfortunate.
It did. As a man, you know, with the Shannon Sharp thing, I don't mean to change the subject with the Shannon Sharp thing. When do you check yourself as a man to know that you're 57 and you're trying to date a 19-year-old?
Oh, Lord.
Know your understanding of, you got to have some type of, what's the word that I'm looking for? Some
Integrity?
Integrity to understand that, okay, I have 30-year-old daughters I got 4 daughters and 3 of them in their 30s, right?
Right.
So I'm going to look real stupid trying to date in my early 30s. But I told them I got to stop it at 35 because a couple of them got grandfathered in. But what I'm saying is like, I'm not going to date under 35. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, if I find somebody that's really, you know, really hitting all, you know, I have certain things that I look for in a woman that she just got to have at a certain age. If she hitting all those marks at 35, then I can talk to her. But if she not, then I can't talk to her. So you got to have a prerequisite of what you want and what you're looking for in a dating situation. So as people learn that level of dating that they have, because I feel that every man should have a budget for any woman that he's trying to pursue. Because it's relationships for me is a financial acquisition. It's like, okay, it's like buying a house for me. It's like, okay, I want to buy this new house, but can I afford this house? I got a chick now, she want me bad, but she's not in the budget.
Oh my
You know
goodness.
what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm not even going to play with it because I know what she wants and I know what she's going to be desiring. Well, my budget says we can't date. You see what I'm saying? And as you get older and as you start taking on different things with different women, you have to understand where your placement is. And I tell everybody, you got to understand your placement in life. If you over here, the woman she used to be with me all the time, give me the rush, she'd be like, Zeke, you're supposed to be getting none of this. I said, I know I can't afford it, but thank you. You know what I'm saying? Because she dated high, you know, she dated guys with that big money. But she just like me, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't tripping. I was like, well, thank you, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you got to understand your placement in each situation. You got to understand your budget for each situation. Just like when I was dating on, was that Facebook dating. Every chick on there talking about, did you make the reservations? I said, reservations to what? We going to TGI Fridays. This is a meet and greet.
Men don't date their age, they date their wage.
Yeah,
Well,
I did my budget. That's what I did.
I think you just,
Right.
I think
Wait.
in modern dating, you just brought up an important dynamic. And what I took from that is that, unfortunately, a lot of us interpret our experience as the only experience, right? And so we project that on other people. So we'll say, and it's not a knock on Zeke, but that's his experience. So he'll say every man needs to have a budget for every woman that he's dealing with, right? Because that's, from your position, you know, that's what it is. But that's not how every man approaches romance. You know, some men have no problem with paying for what they want, and that is that's what they feel like attracts the type of women that they like, and they okay with that. No woman is a gold digger to them. They happy that women are willing to accept their money to date them and treat them like they like them. Some people want to be liked for who they are. Some people want to be liked for what they've accomplished but don't want to spend the money. But it's different for everybody. So the bubble of one person's experience doesn't encapsulate everybody's.
I think that is what we kind of talking about is lifestyle compatibility. So, and that has to encompass what has that woman or that man experienced in life. I used to talk about this a long time ago back on Facebook. You know, when men try and impress you with stuff because that's the extent of what they've experienced in life, but maybe you've experienced something different.
Right.
You know, and so going to whatever restaurant may be impressive to a certain woman while it is, you know, that's where I go every day. You know, so it's not impressive to that woman. So the lifestyle compatibility, everybody got on Lisa Ray when she talked about the man that she was looking for. Right. But Lisa said, when I go on vacation, I go on vacation for a month. Now, not many of us in here can go on vacation for a month and still be okay. You know, because that's a lot. So yes, her lifestyle compatibility for her requires a man to be on a whole other level than probably any of us in here are. I know I can't go on vacation for a month, but
No, you know what?
I was
she
about
said
to say,
she could.
yeah,
Well, that's what she said.
With the assistance
I'm
of
just saying
men,
what she said.
with the assistance of men, she does go on vacation for a month.
But I agree. When she said that, when Lisa Bray said that, I had no issue with it because I'm like, all right, if that's what you want, then the other type of men you saying you won't date, you're doing them a favor because, like she said, why would I put a man through stress?
Right.
Because that's the truth. Because like if you are dating somebody, especially with men, and you really like a woman, and you can't give them what they want or whatever, that is stressful for men. But I just want to kind of say something to Zeke about what I thought it was interesting that in your statement you criticized Shannon, but then at the same time kind of said you was the same type of person. Besides, you had
Different parameters.
different parameters, and so basically what you're saying is that y'all sin the same, but his sin is worse than your sin because he go a little bit lower than you. And so because basically, you said you date according to your budget. Well, that's what he does. He's a 57-year-old man with a whole lot of money.
54, I thought.
Well,
No,
54,
57.
whatever he is.
Oh, damn.
He's a
56.
54, 57-year-old man with a whole lot of money, and that money gets him the ability to date,
Keep it short.
I guess what
I'll
some
give it to
people would say,
I'm just going.
is top of the food chain as far as attraction. And so that's what he did. And not saying that I agree with Shannon, his choice, especially aesthetically wise. But what I will say is this, is that there are some men who really look at the world or look at women in a certain way, and they make their decisions according to that. And what I have found out is that we are people who, because somebody don't agree with the way that you do things, then you sit in judgment and condemnation of these people because their sin isn't the same as yours.
Mm.
And so we're just different. And I personally couldn't date anybody that was that age, probably because I like to have a certain type of conversation, and maybe
Exactly.
she wouldn't be able to provide that. But if he's not the same type of person that I am, and there are a lot of men who are not, that I have found out over my time living, how can I be mad? We all think we special, but we all get mad when somebody is different. I need y'all to explain to me why that is.
Good.
Because you're not special if you're not if you are upset because somebody is not the same as you.
Well, what you said was we don't do the same. We didn't have the same thing. I don't like any man dating that young when they that old. You see what I'm saying? Even when I was coming up, I had a problem with that. I had to lose my virginity at an earlier age than I wanted to because a 30-year-old man was trying to date my little 14-year-old girlfriend. You see what I'm saying? So I've always had an issue with that. And it's always been rampant. It's always been going on. And now, because black guys are doing it, Hugh Hefner had 17, 18-year-olds, and it was cool. Everybody loved that. But now times didn't change. So as a person that your life is going to be affected by certain things, and I just don't date. I have daughters. Like I say, I'm not dating anybody younger than my daughters. You see what I'm saying?
Me too.
And it should be a cutoff as a man. It should be a cutoff on your dating, even though I can date from 75 all the way down to 35.
But that's to his point. You decided for everybody else
Decided-
because of what you like.
No,
So somebody else
that's just me.
somebody else might look at you and say 35 too young. You
Exactly.
tripping.
But I said, but prerequisites got to come along with that. If
They're
she
yours
did all-
though.
if
You're
she
not
did all the
nobody
prerequisites-
else's. You're not letting it be nobody else's for
Exactly.
you. You
But
choosing
as
for
men-
you.
But as men, you 60, don't be messing with no 19-year-old.
But see,
that's just what it is.
You don't make that's the
And my
point.
brother, he loves young women. I've never dated young. I never dated young.
Me
I always
either,
dated
but
older.
Shannon can if he want to.
Yeah,
that's
he
the-
can if he want to, but
Let
the
me
whole
ask you a
deal is
question.
don't
Keep it, make
Shannon
it
shop
quick because
yourself.
we at our
Don't
time.
Shannon shop yourself Always have some type of decency and understanding of a level of your life and what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm done with it. Y'all
Okay.
I just gonna
right.
say this real quick,
Amen.
because
Keep it quick.
when people watch porn, right? They watch porn, and on a lot of porn there are 18-year-old girls. There are 18, 19-year-old girls, and if anybody knows the statistics, most of the people who watching porn are grown married men, right? The reality is that if you watch porn with somebody 2 years younger, you will be in jail. It is the same as if you are dating somebody that's 18 years old, or if you're dating somebody that's 16-year-old. If they are 2 years younger on porn, you will be in jail.
Okay.
It is the same concept. Don't fool yourself.
Let's go to our next audience.
Well, I was just going to make a comment about the modern, because I noticed that there are people, there are smart people that create words. There's dumb people that create words. There's intelligent people. There's people that have issues. Everyone is kind of misusing words, but in reality, I think this modern term, there's no such thing. Just as you living in a time period. So if you was in the 1960s, it would be modern at that time. It was present at
True.
that time.
That's true.
So there's
That's
no
what it means,
really
up to
such
date.
thing as modern. But I think what's being questioned is the value system. So the value system of when there were values, and right now, because there's a lack of values, people don't have values, and everything goes, anything goes, and we can establish what goes because everybody want to figure that they're different. But there were value systems that have changed, and I think that's what we're confusing between modern and traditional.
I agree with that, because that's actually, I was going to throw that in there at some point, and then we got off on a whole other, string. But when it comes to the value in modern, the thing that got me was just the mindset, because the mindset of the traditional values and what we were raised in back in the 70s and all that other kind of stuff is different than what a lot of the kids now that were kids in the 80s and 90s. Those kids, the values that they were raised with were different, because you have to keep in mind, we had the crack era. And so a lot of these kids' parents, and you will hear them talk about their parents wasn't there because their parents were strung out on drugs, right? So you have to keep in mind that a lot of these kids in their 30s or whatever, 20s and 30s or whatever, they are the result of those people, right? And they have a whole different set of values. They have a set of values and a mindset that pretty much they created because their parents didn't have anything to give them because they were strung out somewhere. Now, I'm not saying all, but I'm saying that there's definitely a lot. I just did a show last Monday on sexual assault, and they were saying that a lot of those people who are children of people who had those issues, you can see the over-sexualization because a lot of those kids were also sexually assaulted. And when you learn about sex at a very young age, you become very sexualized at a very young age. So one of the things that the people in the school system, not the therapists, but the social workers and stuff in the school systems, they look at those kids that are sexualized in grade school. Because where do they learn that? They have to learn that somewhere, right? And so that's the whole thing that we're dealing with. Those kids were sexualized at a young age, and now they're here, and now they're modern. And they didn't learn to cook. They had microwave dinners in there, maybe. There's some horror stories out there, and a lot of those same people become the people on Facebook that go viral, and they're spreading what they believe is what life is actually about.
So that happens with every generation. That my great grandparents were looking.
They had
at,
crack?
No, but it's just a different thing that was different, right? And so every new generation is looked at as worse and more out there. But the reality is none of us, even, take crack out of it. If you didn't grow up in an era with all of the dynamics and shifts and changes around you, it's really inappropriate to judge how people are responding to something that you never lived through. That they're not going to have the same values
I'm not
of us.
responding to it. I'm getting it from the sociologists, the
Yeah.
people who are trained to deal with those people.
So you were the most recent person to talk, but you weren't the only person to talk. So to some degree, I was responding to what Sherwood said before he left.
Okay.
that we place this expectation on everybody else. Is what he was saying about dating too, that we think that what's right for us is what's supposed to be right for other people. I wasn't raised in an era where I had access to social media as a kid. I wasn't raised in an era where people could just whip out a phone and film everything that I did. So for me to have these impressions about what I would do and what I wouldn't do, and what a kid who's growing up in that should and shouldn't do, is a little bit misguided and a little bit offset, because I have no idea what it's like for that to have been the norm growing up. And so, not to say there's no validity in the crack era, but I know that every generation looks at the newer generation and looks at the changes and thinks that it's different, and that it's an indicator of reduced values, when I think maybe it's just a change in values based on the environment.
I don't know if I think it's just a change. I do think it's been a reduce in values when you see, and I'm not saying right or wrong, I'm saying it's different, but I am saying that some of the things that I see young women doing now and making choices to do, because I am definitely an advocate of you are in control of your body, and so when you have these girls around here with 5 and 6 kids, with 5 and 6 baby daddies, you have a choice.
Right, but is that the only example? Are you seeing some young women doing some amazing things
Oh,
that
yes,
our grandmothers
absolutely.
and our generation
Absolutely,
did not
I see
do?
some young women doing some amazing things. Unfortunately, those are not the ones that you see going viral. Those are not the ones that you see, most of those on social media, because we live on social media now. There's very few people that that are not on social media. Some of the people that I see, men and women, and I go on their pages because they might make a post that interests me, so now I want to see what they really about, because they could be on the panel one day. But I'm just saying, you go on their page and you see all of this craziness. Those are the things that get shared, the craziness. Like, we might go viral. Well, actually, the show from might go viral because I cussed a little bit and talked about men's penises. Right. That might go viral.
Right.
But the stuff that we share on this show often has not gone viral yet, because we ain't talking about twerking and, we did talk about sucking. We talked about some groceries too.
You got to get into a fist fight in here to go viral.
Right. So, I think that what is attracting people now is a lower vibration of stuff. The lower vibration is it's what they say, people, they can't stop looking at the train wreck. Everybody's looking at the train wreck now. Those are the things that people are drawn to, is the train wreck. They're not drawn to the stuff that really is going to build or help change your mindset. When I post something about investing, even because I do a show with Boca every first Friday, it's Financial First Friday. He gives some great stuff, some great information on how to build wealth. But his show is one of the least watched shows. The more watched shows is when I do Girl Talk +1. When the guy is on there and he asks us some crazy ass questions and we give him some crazy ass answers. The stuff that is, of a lower vibration is the stuff that people are watching now. And I think it is because our music is different. We still got the same movies where, we're pimps and all of that other kind of stuff. We got some other movies too, but we still got some of that same stuff, that same theme. Let's make it quick because we got to wrap up.
Okay, I don't think that it's really that much different. Like, human beings are human beings all through the thing. That's the reason why the Bible is so effective, is because it tells you
The
about
Bible is
human
not
nature.
effective.
No, it is effective because
Ain't nobody reading that no more.
It tells you about human nature. It's very effective because
You controlling stuff, exactly.
Yes, but
I'm sorry.
it's kind of like, are you entertained? In Rome or whatever, when everybody was poor, they had people in the stadium fighting each other, and everybody was happy because they got to go to the stadium to watch violence, right? That's what this is. That's what social media is. That's what sports is. That's what all of this stuff is. It's, are you entertained? People are addicted to being entertained. That's the reason why the financial show doesn't get as much because now they might have to read or go have to learn something when people want to just sit and be mindless and forget about their lives. That's the reason why entertainment is so important. That's the reason why alcohol and drugs and all of that stuff has its place, because people are addicted to being entertained. That's the reason why kids and that, you know, all of us are constantly on our phones, is our addiction to entertainment.